Hello, everyone, and I see everyone has been, pouring messages into the chat. If you haven't found the chat yet, please go to the right-hand side of your screen, and you should see an option to open the group chat and really, share any thoughts, feedback. The first thing we like to ask people to share is where they're from in the world, because it's so amazing. And if you look at the chat box now, we have people joining us from pretty much every state or majority of states, from Alaska to Wyoming to Florida to Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Louisiana, all the way to Egypt, New Zealand, Slovenia. So it's really amazing. Really, as always, we do these monthly. Another one here from India, amazing. We do these monthly webinars with the idea to expose our audience that come to us to learn all these different manual therapy modalities and techniques, to share more information and more perspectives from our instructors, but also from other instructors and other practitioners from all around the world, really. So today, one of our instructors, Sonja Forster, will be with us to talk about a topic, or maybe dive deeper into a topic that she's been exploring for many years now and practicing for many years, which is the pelvic floor. And today we will take a specific dive into a connection that the pelvic floor has with other parts of the body. This is a topic that's been widely interesting to us to explore, widely exciting also to teach and to explore. The more you teach something, the more you realize sometimes you have to learn yourself, and then the more nuances you find, and the rabbit hole just keeps going really deeper and deeper. So today's just an extra step in that rabbit hole of the pelvic floor. So everyone, if you have any feedback, thoughts, you always have the chat box to communicate with us. I hope that the visual is good and that the sound is good. If people do have issues, also please make sure that your browser is clean. That we always recommend to use Google Chrome, but also if there's a wide issue with multiple people, please type it in and we'll try and resolve it immediately. And I think we are good to go. So I will introduce Sonja Forster. So Sonja, you are on stage. I look forward to this webinar. As people know, our format is very much inclusive to want to hear feedback from the audience and questions from the audience. So please use that chat box. There will be an official Q&A towards the end, or the third part of this webinar, but also please watch out, take notes, and listen out, because Sonja might challenge you with a question or two. So please be as engaged as you would like to be and can be. And Sonja, thank you for being us, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, Danny. It's such a pleasure to be here. And it's always wonderful to see people from all over the world, and there's so many people joining today. Like I'm just enjoying reading through the list, like really from all over. So thank you everyone for joining. I'm really looking forward to this next hour we're going to have together. And I really love questions. I love for you to use the chat box when there are questions coming up, when your curiosity is coming up. So please just ask questions. There is no silly questions. The most simple question can be connected to beautiful answers that we can share tonight, or use that morning, noon, wherever you might be in the world. So let's get right into it. First, I just want to walk us through what we're going to explore tonight, and I'm already in my evening mood. And then I'm going to talk a bit more about my education, my background, and where I came from so far in my journey. So as you see, we're going to talk a little bit about the anatomical recap of the jaw, of the pelvic floor, and what's in between. We're going to talk about the breath tonight, about the stress response. We're going to talk about tension in the context of the jaw and pelvic floor connection. And then we're going to talk about some research and resources. So let's dive in. My personal background, I was studying physiotherapy in Germany, in Munich, and that was in 2014. I worked many years in the area of orthopedic rehab with athletes, so more like the common physiotherapy issues that we see: back pain, neck pain, hip pain, and I enjoyed that a lot. I also had a few years where I worked in the neurological rehab, and I helped people recover after they suffered from strokes. So these things combined, I was really curious about neurological connections always in that extent and like in that rehab process. And in 2021, I specialized in the pelvic floor. So physiotherapists can take specialization courses that teach us to do vaginal and anal examinations in people in treatments to figure out if the pelvic floor muscles are functioning properly and to treat a variety of dysfunctions in men and in women equally that are connected to bladder, bowel, and sexual health. So that's a journey that I started in 2021. And I love the field so much. It is really, really interesting, and it is very rewarding to work in an area where there is so much of our life quality is sitting in that space, like being continent, being able to hold our urine, to be able to enjoy a healthy sex life, and so on. So that is really like fundamental, and we realize that a lot when it's gone. So it's really beautiful to work in that area. 2023, I added a specialization which is called pain reprocessing therapy. Thank you. And that is basically a cognitive technique that helps us to reprocess pain pathways that have formed. So it's about chronic pain and how we can treat pain that has manifested and that the body basically has learned these neuronal pathways and is reinforcing the pain. So everyone who is experiencing pain at least over a few months, and usually after a few years, they come to see me to explore options to treat the pain when surgeries are failing, when pills are failing. So when all of this is failing, we understand that pain has a deeper source, that we also need to use cognitive techniques to battle the pain. And last year, I finished my 2-year studies in sex and couples therapy, which was an amazing addition to this toolbox I already had. In that studies, we basically learn about the psychology and the psychosomatic connection of physical symptoms. So these physical symptoms are, in that case, mostly connected to the pelvic floor. So everything around sexual health, that is just, it really added some depth to my treatments, I think, to understand that we're all having emotions, we're all human, and a lot of our pains is our body speaking. And I think these studies really opened my eyes to a more holistic approach. So all of these things are shaping the way that I see the connection of the jaw and the pelvic floor. I see it in a very holistic way, and I would love to share that with you tonight. Okay, so we're going to start with anatomical recap. We're going to talk about the jaw, the diaphragm, and the pelvic floor in this recap, so to freshen all of our memory. I added a little video here. Danny, I think we didn't test if I can play the videos. Should we check that for a second? If I press on the play button.
That's a good point. We might let's test it live. Let's test it live. If you press on, you might have to share screen. That might be our way to go.
I think, yeah, because I think I downloaded the presentation as a PDF, so I think it probably does not include the link.
I see. Let's see if we can put it up. Can we send the link in the chat box? Is that something
the link to the video?
Yeah. And then you can
I would love to explain as the video is running.
Let's see quickly here. Sorry, everyone. Are you able to open it on your side?
I can open YouTube and then do like a share screen. Is that what we can do?
I think so, or I can try here on my side. I think that would be best. I think if you open it on your side here.
Okay, let me do that real quick. So we're just gonna open YouTube and then we're gonna go tongue muscles and the hyoid bone.
And people should be able here to, everyone should be able to see the title of the video to open on your own YouTube account on another tab or on your phone, if that's something you're able to do.
So I have the video open. Should we...
Can you share screen? You should see the option to share screen at the bottom part.
Let's see. Share screen. Okay. All right. It asks me to, let's do that. Okay.
And I would, Sonja, if you're able to put the link in the chat box, that'd be great. And then I can also open it on my side and try and share screen on my side.
Okay. Did that work? Did we?
No.
Let's see. Did it work now?
No.
No. Okay. Danny, let's improvise.
Yeah.
We're gonna maybe see what we can do without watching the video. Like, for example, for this video, we already have the neck muscles here. Maybe we can talk about that for a second.
Yeah, but can we put the link in the meantime in the chat box?
Oh yeah, of course, of course, yeah. So we're gonna put all the links and then.
Great.
Yeah, cool.
And then people can follow along that way.
Amazing. So this is the first video that I'm gonna put is the jaw, and then we're gonna look at the second one, which I don't think
you put the link though in there, Sonja. Yeah, you just put the title.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see. There we go. There you go. This is okay. So this is the link to the first video. Yeah, maybe let's just watch it together. Let's do open in a new tab. Second. Okay. All right. Oh, you're playing around with it? That's great. Okay.
Sonja, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, great. So everyone can see because I'm sharing the screen. Everyone can see the video, so you can take over and guide us.
Amazing. So are you playing the video right now? Like,
it's on pause. You tell me. You can guide me what part.
Oh, okay, perfect. Let's run the video. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone's patience. We figured it out. Okay, so let's start with anatomical overview of the jaw. So what I want us to, we can actually pause it right here, Danny. That's perfect. Thank you so much. So the jaw joint sits here just in front of the ear, and I just want everyone to put their fingers here for a moment. That's where the jaw sits. And it's a really fascinating joint. So we can see there's the more superficial muscles, like the masseter muscle that sits right here on top, that are the big ones that are helping us to chew and speak. And another area that I want our attention to go to is the area more deeper beside the ear. There's all these smaller red muscles that you can see that go from the side of the mastoid bone and the lateral upper neck vertebra to the front of the larynx and the pharynx, as it's written there. So these are actually connecting to our voice as well. And there's also tongue muscles that are in the area of the jaw. So what I want to do with this anatomical review today, I do not want to get lost in detail. I want you to just look at the broad, bigger picture. And I want you to take a lot with you for your clinical day-to-day. By the way, in the meantime, I want everyone to write in the chat maybe why you joined today, and also where in your day-to-day, maybe you are a therapist, a trainer, massage therapist, what profession are you in, and also in what context are you maybe in contact with people with pelvic floor or jaw dysfunction, or maybe you're experiencing a connection there yourself. So please write in the chat so I can just like give you some more precise tips and comments. So when we're looking at the area of the jaw, we can really see that there's a lot of interconnection going on between the tongue and the jaw, and also the area of where the voice is basically produced, right? And the voice is also a product of muscles. So we're gonna talk about that in a moment, and how it's also affecting the connection, and how we can even see in clients, oh, amazing, massage therapist, strength coach, Pilates and physio, physiotherapy student, amazing, massage therapists, amazing. So the area of the jaw is a place where I can sometimes already start to get an understanding how this person is working with pressure and tension in the body. Let's today think of all of these places as openings, okay? So the mouth is an opening, the ears, the nose, they're all holes in our body, right? And so is the pelvic floor. We also have some holes there, right, with some openings. So let's just abstractify it a little bit more. And there are muscles, for example, the jaw, that has the ability to close this opening, to close up, right? And to open. The breath is also sitting here, going in and out. So these are the things I just want to like think about when we think of jaw muscles, okay? So this is the anatomical review. Have a gaze at it. This is how the muscles look like. Danny, let's switch to the next one. Back to my original slides, probably. And then I think we're gonna continue. Okay, so I want to send you the female pelvic floor muscle 3D animation to the chat. Have a look at it. Floor muscle 3D animation. Have a look. It's a great video. I think you also should find the male model for this understanding. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just reading some of your comments. Mom who consequently sees a lot of moms. I wanted to broaden my understanding of these structures to help my clients better. Amazing. So right now we're going to do a quick overview of the pelvic floor. Obviously, I have a whole course on the pelvic floor that Dani can provide you the link with. So whoever wants to deepen their understanding in the anatomy and all of these details, I have a whole course on that. So you're welcome to talk to Dani and find it on the website. And right now we're talking about the pelvic floor. Dani, I'm seeing larynxes and jaw muscles. Where are we with the pelvic floor? Okay. In the meantime, we're going to take my old school model and talk about the pelvic floor.
Sonja,
and then we're going to go back.
You shared the same link again.
Oh,
that's why. And then I'll be able to share the video.
Excuse me. Okay, let's see where the issue was. That's interesting. Let's see. Okay. This is, yes. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Thank you for noticing. This is obviously now the pelvic floor and not larynxes anymore. Okay. Wonderful. All right. So the pelvis and the pelvic floor. So we're thinking of, before we talked about the jaw, which is in our upper half of the body. Now I want you to imagine that we're basically mirroring down. Okay, so now we're in the down half of the body. We have a lot of things in common in top and bottom, and they even mirror each other a little bit. Okay, so right now we're looking at the pelvic floor. We were looking at organs right now. Let's go a bit further on the video. And in a moment, there it is in all its beauty. So here we have the layers of the pelvic floor. I also have my model here, and I'm just going to add in some of the information. So we're looking right now at an inferior view of the pelvic floor. And the pelvic floor is basically 3 layers of muscles that are closing off the pelvis from the bottom. Okay, so to prevent our organs to fall out. So everything that you can see in here, all of this red structure is muscle and is pelvic floor that is function in squeezing, releasing, and stretching. And these 3 functions have to work harmoniously together to ensure that we're having healthy bowel, bladder, and sexual function and are able to give birth and recover after giving birth. These muscles and functions are there for men and women equally. Also, men can have issues with their pelvic floors. They can have a lot of tension issues. Today, we're actually going to talk about a lot of tension issues where we also have most of the time the most obvious connection between the jaw and the pelvic floor are issues related to holding tension in the body. And these are 2 places that we primarily tend to hold tension in. So men and women can have these symptoms and can have pelvic floor issues, but obviously because of the anatomy of the female pelvic floor, because there's a vaginal opening, it is a bit different and a bit more sensitive to dysfunction. But yeah, men and women have pelvic floors, and both need to be able to squeeze, relax, and even lengthen and be able to have a flexible pelvic floor. Okay, amazing. This is the anatomical review of the pelvic floor. Let's go into the next slide. I just need to see which link I want to share. We're going to talk now about the diaphragm. So we talked about the jaw. We talked about the pelvic floor. And now I want to talk about the connecting element in the 2, which is a central pillar of the treatment and of my treatment at the clinic. And let's have a look, drum roll, for the diaphragm. So let's look up a video of the diaphragm, and I shared with you all. Let's see the 3D animation coordination. Let's see 3D animation connection. Let's see. Okay. There we are. Okay. All right. This is going to be the right link. There we are. Okay, so this is the video that we're going to talk about now, which is hopefully not the jaw again. Yes. Okay, right video. So this is a video of the diaphragm and the pelvic floor. So there is a beautiful dance, a kind of like a waltz, that the diaphragm and the pelvic floor are dancing. And I love the diaphragm. It is such a fascinating muscle. Look at it. Beautiful, right? It sits at the center of the body. It sits between our rib cages. And yeah, you can pause it there, Danny. That's perfect. Amazing. Oh, applause. Okay. All right. So it sits at the center of our body, and you can see, and I have another video after that. If we have time, maybe we're going to skip it. But we can see that there is an expansion and contraction happening at all times when we're breathing. And when we're separating and we're thinking for a second in, Denny, can you pause it there for a second? That would be great. Amazing. Thank you so much. So when we're thinking in, again, I want you to zoom out. I want you to understand the intuitive connections and see it in a bigger picture. Okay, so we talk about cavities for a second. So let's think of like spaces in the body. Okay, so one space we have the cranial space, right? The second space we have the thoracic space, including, let's say, the neck, right? So thoracic space until cranial space, thoracic space. And then we have the abdominal space. And below the abdominal space, we have the pelvic space, right? So let's think they're all kind of like bubbles sitting on top of each other. And we have certain muscle layers that are sitting in between these spaces, and they're separating these spaces. The pelvic floor sits in the bottom. It's kind of separating the outside space of the world from our body, right? From our pelvic space. So we have the pelvic space, and then from the pelvic space to the abdominal space, between the thoracic space, we have the diaphragm. And that's what we're focusing on right now. And if we're thinking of the movement that the diaphragm does, when the diaphragm is expanding, we have a shortening of the space and an elongation, okay, because the ribs are moving. So that's where we have a connection, a mechanical connection to the pelvic floor. And through that, we also have a connection to our voice and to our jaw. The ability of me talking right now is an exhale where I'm using my vocal cords to produce a sound, right? If I would be doing, maybe everyone can like cough for a second, you can feel maybe that the pelvic floor has a part in that as well, right? So something is there, something is connected with breathing, diaphragm, pressure coming out here, pressure hopefully not right now coming out here. That's what sometimes urinary leakage is connected to, when you're like losing a few drops when you're coughing or laughing, right? It's also connected to that mechanism of pressure exchange and the diaphragm contracting in a way, or the abdominals in that case as well, right? The abdominal space. So let's let that sink in for a second. We're going to skip the next video to be in time and to have, I really want to dive into questions, and we're just at the beginning. So basically, these are the connections at an anatomical level. Think of the body's spaces and think of the layers that are in between. Everything that is horizontal with each other will move with each other in a way, right? That's where the harmony sits. Energy never gets lost. It's just being transmitted. And the same it is in the body as well. And that's also how these horizontal structures are really, really resembling each other in a lot of ways. And that's how we can treat them and test them. Sometimes we can access from here. Sometimes we access from here. Sometimes we do breathing exercises, right? So let's explore that. You can write down the title of the video. Maybe I can send it after into the chat. It's a great video to see the role of the rib expansion. And even you can understand like back pain much better and why breathing is so important for that, because you can see the rotation and opening. Danny, maybe you have a second to take the title and send it into the chat. That would be amazing. So it's a great video. And I also really recommend to send these videos to your clients. I've been working with a lot of these videos, and just like after I had like the initial conversation with my clients about their pelvic floor, for example, and be like, hey, look at this amazing 3D animation, because we have the technology today and you can see, oh, that's what a pelvic floor squeeze and relaxation should look like. Now I get it. And now I can look at the video and do the exercise and actually connect to my body better, because we need that visualization, especially in these abstract places like the pelvic floor. And like for me, like not for everyone, that's like, let's pick a flower with your pelvic floor. That doesn't work for everyone, right? So it's great that we have these videos, share them with your clients, especially also about the breathing. Breathing is so important, right? We just need to visualize it. We need to understand it. So I love these videos. Okay, so we are arriving at one of the pathways of connection. It's the second one. So the first one, just to put a pin in it in case it's a bit, it's a bit much information. The first parts was the anatomical review. We talked about how complex the jaw is and how many connections it has down from this cavity into the thoracic cavity and into the voice. We talked about the diaphragm and the pelvic floor connection, and how the breath is a central pillar in the connection of the jaw to the pelvic floor. If we're not using any type of breathing technique or breathing assessment in the treatment of jaw tension and pelvic floor tension, we probably might miss the aim a little bit. We're going to explore that a bit more. The second pillar of connection that we talked about tonight is the stress response. So we can see in these pictures here, when someone is stressed, when we're stressed, I mean, we all are, right? I mean, I'm stressed. And when I'm stressed, I can feel it here. Can you write in the chat things that you feel in your body when you're stressed? Like, what are things? I have this weird thing where kind of like my left shoulder is kind of like here. And then I'm like, oh, I need to like drop it back down. And that's what gets me like into like getting migraines sometimes and like headaches. Also, what we're seeing a lot is holding in the stomach muscles and kind of like bracing the stomach. And then you're like realizing, oh my God, and you drop that. Why I chose these pictures is somebody wrote neck, gut pain, contraction in deep layers. What do you mean by deep layers? Right side of the head throbs, my neck and shoulders, lose my voice. Wow. Talking about the voice, right? Teeth clenching. Yep. Yeah. Sorry, I'm late. Was working stressed. You were late because you're stressed. That's okay. We're all stressed. Okay. The thighs grip. Yeah. I squeeze my glutes together. Okay. All right. So what we can see a lot when we talk about these like emotions like stress, maybe even anger, right? Oh, something crunchy. It's something like that, right? You can see that in the photos. Or people are like this. Even if you don't have a headache, but you want to like symbolize like, oh, what a headache, right? There's something even about the psychosomatic expression of these emotions that we're feeling. And there's this Norwegian study actually that you can see like the body map with the different colors where you can feel the emotions. So anger is definitely here as well. Stress, all of the emotions. And I chose the gentleman on the toilet because that's also where we can feel, as somebody said, gut issues, right? Or the voice rises, exactly. It feels like if everything is pulled into the midline. Interesting. So like to the set, like kind of like this. Yeah, the stress response, it's something we need to consider in treatment. People are stressed, and if we give them more and more exercises, and if we tell them about this little muscle that goes from here to there and they need to take something that goes like this, yes, but let's understand people first. Let's be very obvious, right? We do not need to tell people they're stressed. We all know that we're stressed. It's not about that. But it is in our responsibility to give an environment in the treatment session where, first of all, we need to take a breath and give an environment that allows for some quiet breathing, safety, right? Reestablishing safety again and again through our touch, through our voice, or maybe through not touching, right? Whatever is needed in that moment. So the stress response is very, very high on our priority list. And I'm repeating that again and again, and also we're going to talk about it in the end. When we treat tension issues connected to psychosomatic and stress response things, if we have a feeling that this person is really stressed and that maybe like the next stretch, or maybe they're not doing our exercises at all, right? We want to keep it simple. Don't explain, don't over-explain. I will share the Norwegian study. Danny, can you be my research helper? Can you look up Norwegian study on the emotions in the body map and share that in the link? That would be amazing. Thank you. So keep it simple with these clients. Do not give them complex explanations. They are stressed. They don't care. They care, but later on, right? So give them a nice upper neck treatment. We're going to talk about jaw techniques in a moment, and we need the breathing exercises. Stress response needs breath. It needs to happen once a day for 2 minutes. These people need to breathe, and we need to find an access to them to be very gentle and to make them breathe in a way that I understand it's not like some kind of complex meditation. Okay, it can be very simple. We're going to talk about that. Okay, let's talk about symptoms. So you can read them here. Symptoms can appear situational, persistent, intermittent, or chronic. That means not everyone has symptoms all the time. Thank you, Danny. We can have jaw clenching, for example, just if I hear my alarm bell in the morning, right? Or just at night when I'm sleeping, clenching my jaws, don't know how to stop it because I'm sleeping, right? That's the tricky ones that we're getting. Just at night, daytime, nothing. I think I'm relaxed. There's people who don't even know that they're carrying tension in their jaw or in their pelvic floors. That's also a big part of my work, is to raise awareness. And then they will be like, oh, wow, I've been carrying so much tension in my pelvic floor all this year. I didn't even know because my awareness isn't there, right? I'm not at home there. I'm not there. I don't feel it. So that's also part of this work, is like raising awareness for these places. So we can develop headaches. That's basically everything that you guys wrote in the chat. There's a lot of it here, right? So frequent headaches or jaw clenching, also called bruxism, neck stiffness, especially at the base of the skull. That's why I love these like skull treatments where the patient is laying on their back and you're kind of just holding their upper neck muscles with your fingerberries, with your fingertips. Yes, so read through the list, breath hold, sucking in the belly, people having difficulties, and they will tell you, I am so bad at breathing. I can't take deep breaths. It freaks me out. Breathing freaks me out. All of these things we're hearing. And then in the pelvic floor, pelvic pain, discomfort, or feelings of tightness. Sometimes it's not the pelvic floor. So the inner thighs is not the pelvic floor, but for people who are clenching the inner thighs, as we read in the chat, it might be also related to the pelvic floor because they're very much reflecting to each other. The glutes, the pelvic floor, they're not the same thing, okay? So if you do a Kegel, which is a pelvic floor contraction, it doesn't mean that you're squeezing your butt cheeks and your thighs. It just means really the area around your genitals. That's the pelvic floor muscles. But if you're carrying tension in that area in your adductors or in your glutes, probably also in your pelvic floor. Sensitive bladder, okay? So we're having a lot of higher urgency. There's always a feeling in the bladder that it might not be completely empty. There's always, because like something is kind of like bothering there. For men also, it can be incomplete emptying, like a weak urine stream, kind of like a prostatitis, but it is no prostatitis, right? It's actually pelvic floor tightness, chronic pelvic floor tightness. Most men that are diagnosed with prostatitis do not have prostatitis, especially when it's checked with a blood test and the urine tests. In most cases, it's pelvic floor tightness. And if we would go back to treatment, it would be connected to breathing again. And that is a long process, right? It doesn't happen in a week and be like, hey, just breathe, right? It doesn't happen like that. It's a long protocol, and there is an elaborated protocol for people with pelvic floor tension and pelvic pain that have pelvic pain for years. And this protocol is based on the pain reprocessing therapy tools, right? It's also called progressive relaxation, if I'm not mistaken, and breath work, mindfulness, meditation. And people do that for about 6 months to treat their symptoms. So please, if you know anyone of pelvic pain, men, women, there are a lot of tools and there's a lot of help, and they can be very simple and very not invasive. And they are necessary if we want to not be hooked on medication or rely on surgeries later on in life. Let's do a test, everyone. Take 3 fingers like this and see if you can stick them up your mouth. Is that possible? Who wasn't able to do it? If you want to write in the chat, if not, it's fine. Practice that. So the 3-finger test is a test that we do with our clients to see if they have limited range of motion in their jaw. So that's giving us a lot of information if there's some kind of tension issue in the jaw. Another thing I ask my clients to do is, can you go ahead and relax your belly? Or, because that's hard, right? Like for some people, it's very hard. Sonja said, hi, Sonja. Sonja said, done. Amazing. So another thing with the belly is putting the hands on the belly and breathing. So that's also very helpful. Sigh with your voice. Everybody go ahead, test your ability to relax your jaw. So we're going to take in a breath. Okay, this is like a sigh. A sigh that I would say somebody has a bit more tension is like, so you can feel that there's something, they need to have something pushing out the voice actively, right? If the voice can come out like, passively surfing on my exhale, right? That's an indication for a relaxed vocal situation. If we go like, there's some tension there, right? And we want to explore why and where it comes from. And squeeze and release your pelvic floor. Everybody, let's do it. Feel your sits bones on the chair. And then try to imagine you're holding back your urine stream. Don't do that on the toilet. When you're peeing, just pee. This is just for your imagination, right? So try to squeeze around your genitals, lifting up to the belly button, okay, drawing it up and in, and releasing again. When you're releasing it, release onto the chair or the couch when you're sitting, and feel that your genitals are returning. And lifting them up and away a little bit, right? They're not actually going that far, but just a little bit and back down, okay? So we can do that. And in the end of the day, probably if you feel like, I'm not sure if I'm feeling anything there, which is very common. I don't know if I can do that. What am I doing there? My belly does this. My butt cheeks do this. My legs go like into each direction. That's really okay. And go and see a pelvic floor physio, even just a one-time checkup, and be like, let's do a sound check. Can you see if everything is like firing down there? So that's always a good thing to do. Okay, so we talked about it already a little bit. I'm sorry if I'm flying here. I just really want to have time for some more questions. So treatment modalities. We talked about the manual. So what I'm doing at the clinic, I'm wearing gloves, and I'm going inside the mouth with my gloves, and I'm doing a massage. Was able to do it, but felt some pain. Oh, okay. You should check that. Yeah, we can talk later. So I'm taking my gloved hands, and I'm basically doing a lot of a cheek massage, a lot of cheek massages, cheek pulls, and I'm going onto the joint, holding it from the inside and the outside, and letting my client slowly open and close the joint. And while they're doing that, I'm doing a trigger point on the masseter and on the internal jaw muscles. Okay, sometimes I'm combining that with like voice exercises as well, and do, for example, okay, that for the jaw. Trigger point, manual therapy, and soft tissues. Will we be able to go back and listen again? Yes, it will be recorded. Don't worry, there will be everything accessible for you. Mindfulness and guided meditation, breath work, and strength and mobility exercises. So just for you to know, as any PT, we're using these modalities, right? We're working on the muscle. We can work directly on the jaw muscle. Blessed as I am as a pelvic floor PT, I can work directly inside of the vaginal canal at the pelvic floor muscles, right? But we can also use, for example, you can tell your clients, take a lacrosse ball and sit on it. So the lacrosse ball would be, if this is the tailbone and this is the sitz bone, the lacrosse ball can be in between. If you have one at home, you can try that maybe right now and sit on there, and then breathe and kind of like ground on that area and do like a little trigger point treatment there. So you can try that. And then, of course, I'm giving strength exercises, mobility exercises. I'm not just here to relax everyone, but we need to have some access, and we need to have a positive approach to working with the body. And when we're just whipping our body constantly and being like, okay, now I need to be even more strong, and what exercises can you give me? Hold on. First, let's breathe. And then slowly, step by step, we're going to understand where's the stress coming from. Maybe exercises will add to your stress. Maybe we need to dosage that a little bit differently. So all of these things are taken into account. Okay. Danny, we need you again. You can send this video for everyone in the chat. This is a great exercise you can do right away. You can give it to your clients right away. It's for a jaw release. Okay, so here's just a few examples. Again, we talked about that breath work. There's a few examples of exercises I do for pelvic floor work. And I just gathered 2 researchers, and then we're going right to the question. So this study from 2024 showed that even one single session of soft tissue technique in the temporomandibular joint can significantly enhance pelvic floor muscle relaxation, which is, I think, amazing. And I can really also sign on that from my clinical experience, that these jaw issues and jaw treatments are very effective for pelvic floor relaxation itself. So if you can touch the pelvic floor, touch the jaw, do the breath work, and you will treat the pelvic floor very effectively as well. And a last study that is, okay, so I want you also to check out the Anderson protocol, which is a protocol for pelvic pain. He specialized in male pelvic pain. He has the Anderson protocol, which is what I told you about before. It's like the combination of breath work and mindfulness that really works highly effectively on the long term, but it works great for pelvic pain. So there was another study on this one. If you want, also take a shot of the screen and look up these two studies, but you will have everything recorded on the website after, so don't feel as rushed as I do right now to get done with all of the information that we're having for you tonight. Okay, let's see. So my conclusion. Danny, can you move just the picture so I can read from my own files? Thank you. So the conclusion is that jaw and the pelvic floor have many pathways of connection. I haven't even talked about all of them, obviously, tonight. There's also the myofascial trains that are running in between them. So that's also another whole universe to dive into. The diaphragm might be the most central and fundamental connection of the jaw and the pelvic floor. If you take anything from this conversation tonight, remember the diaphragm and the breath work. Okay. For example, box breathing, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, 4 seconds hold is a great exercise. But for people who are returning into their body and that want to reestablish body safety, it would be probably the best to start with some type of mindfulness breath work to not go into the right and wrong. So that's also my the next point, which is like one of the highest priorities is to reestablish a sense of safety and body trust. One of the connections of jaw, diaphragm, and pelvic floor symptoms is that the body is not perceived as a safe place. And a lot of that, which is influencing, is also because the mind and the thoughts are not as comfortable for a lot of people. And that is just reinforcing a cycle of discomfort. So we really want to reestablish the body as a safe and comfortable place to be. And that's when we using mindfulness and breathwork techniques, reduce technical instruction, and point out limiting beliefs if you can to your clients when they say, is that the right way to breathe? Did I breathe wrong again? These are all signs that they're very still afraid to be in the body, and that there's a sense of mistrust and not feeling safe. And yeah, customize them some fun exercises, and it should be a lot of playfulness, curiosity, and a sense of safety. Thank you so much for following the slides with me. Let's see. Okay, so these are the barcodes to my Instagram and to my website. If you want to stay in touch, I would love that. Also, if you have any other questions beyond tonight's time frame, you are welcome to write me a message on my Instagram or on my email that you can find on my website. I'm always happy to discuss, especially with such an amazing audience from all over the world. So please feel free. As you see, I have a lot to talk about. I have a lot to share. So I'd be happy to chat with you. So whoever wants to write some questions in the chat, I'll be here. We have 1 more minute in the time schedule.
Thank you.
With time.
Yes, thank you. Amazing, amazing, Sonja. Thank you so much. Super, good and interesting stuff. And thank you everyone for participating so much and some being very vulnerable, etc. And sorry about the complication with some of the links. They should all be in the chat box. Also, in addition, as Sonja mentioned, this webinar is recorded, will be sent to anyone who's registered, first of all, and later on be published also on our webinar playlist on YouTube and on our website at neilasher.com. All social media is either Neil Asher or Nat Global Campus, where you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, even TikTok as well. So you will be able to see the presentation, you'll be able to see the slides and find those videos through the titles if you were missing anything, or look up any research that was shared. If anyone does have questions now, this is the time. We will spend. We can go a few minutes over, and if anyone has questions, we can pose to Sonja and help, and she can help expand on or answer or give extra context. So please use the next couple minutes to throw anything into the chat box, and we'll read them out. We will not call you out by name as well if you prefer not to. I think you even have the option to type something in anonymously. The last, a bit of housekeeping that I do want to do is on the top right corner of the screen, you should see a button to click on Pelvic Floor CEU course. That is a direct link to the course that we've created at Neil Asher with Sonja, which is, I think it's over 4 hours of video material, really of edited material, so removed any minor link complications or technicalities along the way, but 4 hours really diving into pretty much everything pelvic floor. It's not specific on the jaw, but even there's sections that include the jaw and go over the anatomy, go over exercises, going over breathing, going over really, really in depth everything that one needs to know about the pelvic floor. And that's why we even named the course a holistic view of the pelvic floor. So please keep an eye out for that. If you have any questions, you can always reach us at support@neilasher.com, or on our website there's the help page where there's multiple ways of reaching us. And yeah, so if there's no questions, we'll cut it off in a couple minutes. But Sonja, I'll ask you, maybe is there a question that you're maybe expecting that usually comes to you that people usually ask because of maybe a misconceptions that are out there around the pelvic floor and or its connection to the jaw?
I don't know. I spotted a question that I maybe want to answer in the Mette Pettersen sent me a very nice question. She asked me, is there a neurological connection between the jaw and the pelvic floor, and what is it? So if we're looking at the nervous system, so first of all, so maybe in the title, when we look at a connection, maybe we imagined like some kind of line that goes down from here, like straight into the pelvic floor. There might be. So there is some theories that there's like the fascia tracks that are the fascia trains that are connecting. I think it's the deep front line that is connecting from the jaw to the pelvic floor. I'm not a fascia expert by all means. And if we look at the neurological connection, so in one aspect, if we would break down the stress response into neuronal pathways and nervous system branches, then we could see that there is some type of connection. One nerve that we can maybe point out in all of this connection is the vagus nerve, which has become a very popular nerve over the last years. So the vagus nerve might be one that is mostly tying them together, since the vagus nerve comes from where we saw the muscles of the jaw behind the ear, next to the neck, and then goes down into the stomach. And there is also branches of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system that go further to the bladder and bowels. So somewhere along vagus nerve, parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, there is a connection from, also we think of food digestion and So somewhere along these lines, there is a connection that is there between them.
Excellent. And then there's another question here that came in. I'm sorry I missed that one with all the the comments and the thank yous. I did miss it.
Sure.
So you should see another one there from Wendy. If you would like to take that one.
Yeah. Amazing. Wendy asked, are these interventions something you would also do for a client with prolapse? I'm assuming yes, but was wondering if you would modify it in any way. Yes. So I'm very passionate about prolapse. A lot of my clients that come to see me have prolapse. So basically, a prolapse is when either the bladder, the womb, or the rectum. Let's talk about the female organ prolapse. Okay, so the pelvic organ prolapse in a female is the descent of one of the pelvic organs into the vaginal canal. And when we are seeing the holistic connection in between and how I would treat the prolapse based on what I talked about today is when we talked about pressure equalization. So I would make sure that we are talking about holding patterns. So a lot of women with prolapse are basically pushing down a little bit, and they need to relearn some type of uplifting when they're lifting or when there's a lot of pressure going on. A lot of the techniques I'm using are somehow connected with some type of incline or inversions of the body and breathing exercises around that. One last sentence about prolapse. Prolapse is a very, very delicate topic, very psychosomatic, very close to my heart. It's a very delicate diagnosis to receive and to give. So being very careful, talking with women about that, and being very compassionate and very empathetic in the treatment. And prolapse is not 100% linked and correlated to having tight or strong pelvic floor muscles. It goes way beyond, okay? So women can heal even if they're not the greatest at doing Kegels. That is not linear connected to prolapse healing. Just that being said.
Excellent. And there's a question here about the connection, if you want to answer, between facelifts, neck lifts, and incontinence.
Facelift and incontinence. I mean, I know that there is some energetical connection between the skin of the face, especially in this area, and the energy and the connection to the area of the pelvic floor. But that's a different world, a different dimension. I'm not sure how much I would discuss that in this context, but yeah, I wouldn't know of a direct link between incontinence and facelifts.
The next question is about a hysterectomy.
Hysterectomy clients. So the question is, what about hysterectomy clients? I don't know. What about them? I would need more details. Sorry, Christine.
Maybe in terms of any connection to pelvic floor issues or anything that maybe
right. It's a very broad question. I would need more details maybe on that question. So hysterectomy is basically the removal of the uterus. So if there is no uterus, I can just maybe briefly touch on that. We have more space where there is no uterus. There is now not the uterus anymore, so we have maybe a bit higher risk of like pelvic organ prolapse or anything like that. But that definitely, somebody who has received a hysterectomy should see a pelvic floor physio and just be in touch with them and make sure that they're getting taken care of as best as possible and having a good and happy, healthy life.
Great. And I think you touched on this, but there's a question here from Laura about the connection between anger, jaw, and the pelvic floor. And I think anger, as in we spoke about the stress and the facial expressions.
Yeah, amazing question, Laura. Thank you for that question. Yeah, definitely. I like to call them big emotions. So when we have big emotions, there's a lot of connection in between their suppressed emotions that are not coming out, right? When we're like, when we're not allowed to throw tantrums anymore, right? So we don't have that ability to like let it out for a second. So we have a lot of accumulated emotions, and basically somatic. For that, I really recommend to go to more body-based therapies, right? Body-based somatic therapies, and feel the emotion in the body. It is we need to go simple, okay? Talking about it, that's great, knowing where your childhood trauma comes from and why. Go to the body. Where is it in your body? Open the study, the Norwegian study, where are the emotions in the body? Open that, see it in your body. Where is it? And just stay there. Feel it. Where is it? Is it sitting in your jaw? Just stay with the sensation. Do these like mindfulness exercises. Stay there and just feel it. That's a big thing that I'm working on with my clients in that regard.
Amazing. Sonja, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for, keeping you a few minutes extra. We highly appreciate everyone, as you saw, joining from Australia, New Zealand, India, Egypt, Greece, all over the world. So thank you so much, practitioners from all different professions. Highly appreciate you coming to us. Please keep an eye on the registration for the following webinars. Please follow Sonja on social media. Please follow us on social media. Please check out Sonja's course at Neil Asher Education with us on our website. Our website is www.neilasher, N-I-E-L, Asher, ASHER.com. And you can see a button here on the top part of the screen with that should take you directly, pelvic floor CEU course, directly to the page of Sonja's course on our website. One that was super fun to create and super in depth. So please check it out. If anyone has any questions, I also put in the chat box. The best way to email us is support@neilasher.com. Or if you head to the website and go to the help page, you'll see multiple ways of reaching us. Including scheduling a call with us, or calling us via phone, or emailing us, or filling out a contact form. We're approachable. Please contact us with any questions. Thank you very much, everyone. Wherever you are in the world, have a good evening, good morning, good night, and a wonderful weekend. Sonja, thank you again.
Thank you so much.